Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be going over the current epic weapons cache. Now this epic weapons cache I actually really like. The first weapon on the wheel is Georgia's Sturdy Firearms Axe. It has 35% defense, 35% HP, reflect damage, so when being attacked, a better chance to deal 120% of a damage to the enemy, and my favorite part of it is heal 10% at the start of each turn per debuff on this character. Now, this weapon is very close to what I run on my Georgia actually, and I find the weapon actually makes her to be really tanky. I don't have reflect damage. I have a minus 30 AP when being attacked, but I think reflect damage could also work pretty well because you would be able to actually damage the enemy while also healing basically every turn. Now, the reason why I like this fourth slot so much is because a debuff isn't just attack or defense down. It also includes things like infection, stun, taunt, confuse, just to name a few. So if you keep applying statuses to the toon that holds this weapon, and in my case that's Georgia, you're actually healing that toon every turn. And because Georgia also has Vitality as her specialist skill, she's actually able to heal herself every turn with Vitality based on her AP, as well as from this type of weapon. So the type of weapon that I'm actually running on my Georgia is this. I have 43% HP because every time she heals at a percentage, it means she's actually healing more as a base amount of HP. 35% defense, the AP down as I mentioned before, and then the 10% healing per each debuff on her. So I have a very specific mod set for my Georgia because I actually want her to take status effects as often as possible. So not all my mods are of the same set, but I have a defensive mod set because I have so much HP on her weapon. I have an HP mod, a defense versus tough mod because there are lots of heavy damage dealing tough toons like Priya or Princess. I have defense when stunned, because if she ends up being stunned, say from Mercer on the first turn, or being stunned from a stun gun, or any other rush or active skill ability, she will get a defensive buff, while still being able to heal herself from being stunned. I have a heal reduction resist mod, because her saving grace is that she can heal consistently. So I want to make sure that her healing ability isn't impeded by any way, shape, or form. The next weapon that we see in the weapons cache that we have seen before, Mike's Violent Square Steel Bar. This has 30% attack, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, healing stun, which I think is a very effective weapon to use, and the fourth slot, increased trade advantage damage by 20%. So I'm not a huge fan of this last slot just because trade advantage is very specific, so you would only get additional trade advantage against fast toons because you have a strong character holding this, unless you changed, I think, the third slot to stronger attacks, and I think that can be crafted. Changing the fourth slot to something like Ransack would be pretty solid, and then adding in a huge bonus to AP and 5% more attack would be very helpful, I think, on this weapon. The healing stun is great because it helps counter abilities like infection. So I like this weapon. There is a lot of ways to control the enemy. Stunning them is one of the most effective ways. And then by having this healing effect as well, it just means you're better equipped to deal with teams that can apply damage back or that bleed or burn you, for example. Now, the last strong 5-star weapon on this wheel is Solange's Enervating Shovel. I know we've spoken about this one before too. This weapon's actually pretty solid as well. It could be pretty effective on a toon like Georgia. Just as an example, there aren't a ton of good, strong defensive toons other than her and maybe Leopo. But this has 30% HP, 15% defense, AP downs, the minus 30 AP. I would have liked to see minus 50 AP on this weapon, but alas, that is not happening. So the fourth slot is kind of interesting. Every turn, for every 20% AP, heal 5% max HP. And because this is a percentage, we have to think about ways that the defensive team would function. Ideally, you would want to have this on a toon that can gain AP often. So unless you add AP when attacking on this toon, you're not going to be gaining AP very consistently unless you have a leadership toon that gives AP either when attacking or when defending. This again is a more defensive weapon, and I guess the way you have to think about this type of weapon is that you want a toon where they're going to be gaining more flat AP when we compare it to the amount of AP that they need in order to rush. An example would be like a 76 AP toon would be getting a higher percentage of AP if they're gaining, say, 20 or 28 AP on an attack, because when on a defensive team, all toons get a times 1.4 AP bonus. So if there's no AP on a weapon or from a leadership skill, then the toon will be gaining, usually on an attack team, 20 AP. But on a defensive team, it's 20 AP times 1.4, which is 28 AP. And 28 AP on a 76 AP toon is equal to 37%. But if we compare it to a toon like Leopo that needs 85 AP to rush, 28 AP of 85 is only 33%. Now, both of them are shy of 40%, which would allow a toon to heal by 10% every turn, because they would have 40% of their max AP. But if a toon takes damage during the turn, or if they have any AP on their weapon, they're gaining more baseline AP. So this means we're ignoring unnatural AP gains from 8% weapons or a toon like Dr. Stevens, just as an example. So overall, I think this weapon is decent. I would have liked it more if the AP down was minus 50 AP instead of minus 30. I would definitely say that the weapons are kind of in order of what I would want. I would definitely want the one with the 10% healing per each debuff. Then I would want the healing stun weapon, which could be used very effectively on attack. And then finally, Solange's enervating shovel as my last pick. But I know there's only about a 1% chance of getting these weapons, but I always like giving you guys information about what I think about different weapons, so if you do happen to get this specific weapon, you might have an inkling of what you want to do with it. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video.